every ionic bond has partial covalent character. If we see those bonds in terms of that, the difference between ionic and covalent bond is this much, that only that if the shared pair of electron is pulled towards any one of the atom which is more electronegative, and if this pulling becomes stronger and stronger, and then they separate to form ionic bond, if we see it in this manner. Though actually this is not the case. Ionic bond is different and covalent bond is those bonds in terms of this manner, then we can understand that ionic bond and covalent bond are mixed with each other. You can say that ionic bond is an extreme case of covalent bond, when the separation becomes so strong that they separate from each other. Okay, so we were discussing about that only, that if we talk about cations, then if a cation is having a small size, or one factor is small size of cation, or if the cation has more positive charge, then in both these cases either it should have a small size or it should have more positive charge on it. The 1 positive, 2 positive, and then 3 positive is the highest positive charge. So if more charge is present, then both these factors contribute in polarizing power, means ability to disperse the electron cloud which is present on the other atom to pull it towards itself. For example, if I talk about lithium chloride, though according to rule, if we see, then lithium chloride, because lithium chloride is lithium belongs to group number 1, chlorine belongs to group number 17, the nature of the bond should be ionic, but we say that the bond between lithium and chlorine has more covalent character than ionic character. Why? The reason, the lithium has very small size, so it is true that when we talk about their electronegativity, then chlorine is more electronegative, so it has tendency to pull the shared pair of electron towards itself, and if this pull becomes too strong, then chlorine will take away the charge and it will become an ionic bond. But along with the same thing which we have discussed, one more thing is present, that because of the small size of lithium ion, it has more polarizing power. So this chlorine is pulling it toward itself, but at the same time, because of its small size, the electron cloud which is present on chlorine is pulled by lithium towards itself. So it is preventing chlorine atom to take away the shared pair of electron with it to form ionic bond. Hence the nature of the bond becomes covalent in case of lithium chloride. Okay, so more polarizing power depends on these two factors, and if polarizing power is more, the tendency of the cation is to pull the electron cloud towards itself to make the nature of bond covalent. Second factor, if we talk in terms of anion, these two factors we were talking when we were talking in terms of cation. In terms of anion, first is large size. If the anion is big in size, okay, then what will happen? If it is big in size, its electron cloud will also be big. If the electron cloud is big, it is easy for cation to disperse that cloud towards itself. Okay, one factor is large size, then second factor, more negative charge. Okay, if anion has more negative charge, that means -1, -2 and highest -3. So if more negative charge, that means what? More electrons are present on it. More electrons, that means the electron cloud is big. If the electron cloud is bigger, then it is easy for the cation to disperse that cloud towards itself, and the nature of bond becomes again covalent rather than ionic. Okay, so if we consider every bond, if a bond between sodium and chlorine or bond between lithium and chlorine, if in terms of ionization enthalpy we talk, then it will come to our mind that lithium chloride bond should be more ionic as compared to the NaCl bond, because if we compare the ionization enthalpy concept, then we will see that only. But just now we have seen the points that small size or more positive charge. So in case of lithium, what is applicable? Small size. Because of a small size of lithium disperses the cloud of electron which is present on chlorine towards itself and does not allow chlorine to take away the electron pair with it to form ionic bond. Okay, hence the nature of the bond is covalent, more covalent than ionic. Okay, this tendency, large size and more negative charge, will lead to the property known as polarizability. Okay, so cations have polarizing power and anions have polarizability. More big is the electron cloud, more is the polarizability. So electron cloud can be big by two factors, that large size or more negative charge. For example, if you are given question, now according to Fazan's rule, we know that compounds of lithium are covalent in nature, they have covalent character. So if I compare lithium fluoride, lithium chloride, lithium bromide and lithium, which is more covalent, if we are asked, then on which basis we will find out this? Now cation is same in all these, but what is different is anion. Out of these four anions which are written, the biggest size charge is same for all of them. Fluorine is 1 negative, size is biggest for iodine. Now biggest size, that means more polarizability. Large size will lead to more polarizability, that means the electron cloud of iodine will be pulled the highest by lithium as compared to bromine, chlorine and fluorine. So out of all four, if we compare, it will have the highest covalent character. Lithium iodide will be the most covalent, though all are covalent in nature, but the percentage covalent character will be more in case of lithium iodide. Okay, now if iodine has bigger size and it has more tendency to get polarized, then if we compare lithium iodide, then magnesium iodide and I2 and aluminium iodide, if anion is kept same, and then we have to calculate or find out the more covalent character in the given bond, then again what will happen, that because of more charge present on aluminium, the tendency of aluminium will be more, the polarizing power will be more for aluminium, and the bond, nature of bond will be more covalent for this. Okay, so generally in general sense we have clear-cut differentiation between covalent bonds and ionic bonds. We know that most of the bonds which are formed between group number 1 and group number 17, they all are ionic bonds. But as said by Fazan, that every ionic bond has some percentage of covalent character and every covalent bond has some percentage of ionic character. So which percentage is more in which bond, this can be found with the help of these points. Otherwise simply if suppose a bond is there, it has some percentage of covalent and some percentage of ionic character. So which percentage is more, that bond is told as that type of bond. Suppose a bond between sodium and chlorine has also some percentage of covalent character according to this Fazan's rule, but because its ionic character is more, hence the bond in general terms we know is that bond is a ionic bond. Okay, so we have not to be confused in this concept. In general talking, when we talk, then what bond is known as ionic bond, we will call it ionic, and which bonds are known to us as covalent, they are covalent. But we should know that each ionic bond has some percentage of covalent character and each covalent bond has some percentage of ionic character also, because of these two factors, polarizing power and polarizability of cation and anion. Clear? Okay, so these are general discussions. Now yesterday one topic we had taken, that was dipole moment. One point was left in it. Dipole moment we were discussing, and in dipole moment we have not to do any calculation in this chapter regarding dipole moment. Okay, only thing which we have to remember is, if the geometry is symmetrical, you will come to know that which geometries are symmetrical and which are not symmetrical geometries when we will go to the next theory, that is VSEPR theory, where we are going to study. After that you will be knowing that what are symmetrical geometrical figures and which are not. So if the geometry of a particular molecule is symmetrical, its dipole moment will remain 0. This much we have to remember, because dipole moment is a vector quantity. When it becomes equal and opposite, it cancels out and the net value comes out to be 0. Each bond has certain value, but that net value comes 0. Okay. Now in case of dipole moment, when we have to do the comparison of NF3 and NH3, these two molecules are given to us and we have to compare the dipole moment values of these two molecules, which will have more value of dipole moment. This has to be calculated. Then on simply seeing, it appears to us that because fluorine is more electronegative, so the bond will be having this NF3 molecule should be having more value for dipole moment as compared to NH3, because fluorine is highly electronegative and dipole moment depends on charge and distance. So charge is more, it is clearly visible. Charge will be more because fluorine is more electronegative, so it will be pulling the shared pair more towards itself. Okay. Now, when we draw the structure of NF3, now see, these are the structures. Why these structures are there, we will discuss just in the next theory. Then nitrogen is bonded to 3 fluorine atoms, and we know that valence electrons on nitrogen are 5. Out of 5, 3 have made bond, 1, 2 and 3 have made bond with fluorine, and fluorine also has valence electrons 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. It is present on each one like this only. Okay. Now, when nitrogen has valence electrons 5, it has made bond with 3. So 2 electrons, or you can say 1 pair, is left as lone pair. The pair which does not participate in bond formation is known as lone pair of electrons. So this is one lone pair of electron, and we show it by making a cloud, electron cloud, because electrons are not placed fixed at one place, they are moving, so they form a cloud. Cloud means a area of attraction by the negative charge to pull positive charge towards itself. So that is known as its cloud. Same is with NH3. Nitrogen is making 3 bonds here with hydrogen, and 1 pair of electron is present as lone pair. Okay. Now here, if we see here, Now we have to calculate its dipole moment. We are not knowing its value. Okay. If we see the nature of this bond, nitrogen and fluorine is more electronegative than nitrogen because fluorine has the highest value for electronegativity. So the direction of dipole will be this. For this bond also direction will be this, and this bond also direction will be this. When there is a lone pair present on any particular atom, this lone pair and any atom has nucleus also which has positive charge. So the positive charge and this electron cloud also develops a dipole, always in the direction of electrons. So there will be one more value of dipole in this molecule from the nucleus of this atom towards the electrons which are present in the form of lone pairs. This is one more dipole present here. So now in this molecule, the resultant of these 1, 2 and 3 dipole moments is equal, or you don't say it equal, is opposite to this. It will not come equal, it will have some net value. Mu is not equal to 0, okay, but the net value will be less. Why less? Because whatever value of these is coming is opposite to the value which is coming, so they will be subtracted because they are not in the same direction. Whatever is the resultant of these three will be subtracted from this, so the net value will come 0, not 0, less. Okay, 0 will come only when the geometry is symmetrical, and when lone pairs are present, the geometry is never symmetrical. Okay, if any molecule has lone pair, geometry is not symmetrical geometry. So this geometry is not symmetrical, so mu cannot be 0, but it will have less value. If we see to this molecule, the direction of dipole will be, because nitrogen is more electronegative than hydrogen, so the direction of dipole will be this. Now for this, you will have to little remember the electronegativity values. Some values, not all you have to remember. We had made one table that day, so some values in the horizontal line we had written, some in the vertical line we had written. So those, at least those values you remember. Okay, so the direction of dipole for all these three bonds will be towards nitrogen, and the direction of this bond dipole will be there from nitrogen towards the electron, just like this. So whatever is the resultant of these three bonds will be added to the dipole moment of this. Hence the total value will come more, because this is coming by addition, this is coming by subtraction of the resultant from this. Resultant added to this. So the value dipole moment, net dipole moment value of NH3 is more than the net dipole moment value of NF3. So this question is very common question which is asked. Okay. So this we had to do for dipole moment which was left. Now we had discussed about the Lewis-Langmuir concept, and we saw that there are molecules which are easily, their structure is explained with the help of that concept, but there were exceptions also which do not follow Lewis-Langmuir concept. Still they were stable, the octet was not fulfilled, still they were stable. They have expanded octave, some have less than 8 electrons, some have odd number of electrons. Even then those type of molecules were also stable. So to further explain the stability of molecule, one more thing was there. Lewis-Langmuir concept was explaining the formation, that how these covalent bonds are formed, but it was not telling anything about the shape of the molecules. No light was thrown on the shape of molecules, that why the shape of these molecules are like that as observed in the spectroscopic techniques. So the next theory which we are going to study had thrown light on the shape of various molecules. So now today we come to the next theory, second theory related to the shape and bond formation of different molecules. Okay, so that is VSEPR theory. It is known as valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Okay, so VSEPR, valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. What is the meaning of this? Whenever any molecule is formed, okay, when molecule is formed, there is a central atom, and any central atom we take, and it makes bond with other atoms to become stable, to complete its octet. Now when it makes bond, then it's not necessary that all valence electron which are present on the central atom are used in the bond formation. There may be some number of electrons, some electrons are left which are not taking part in the bond formation. They are known as lone pairs. Now when these bonds are formed, because we have seen that the structure of atom is a three-dimensional structure, that means the total space available for a molecule to orient its various bonds in the space is three-dimensional space is available to it. Okay, so when bonds are formed, they try that they arrange themselves in such a manner that they have maximum possible distance in that particular geometry available. Means if a molecule is formed, then depending on the number of bonds it is forming, those bonds will orient themselves at the maximum possible distance which is possible for that particular number of bonds in three-dimensional space, so that they face least repulsion. Why least repulsion? Because when molecules are getting formed, it is true that suppose carbon is there, 4 valence electrons are there, so these electrons are having same charge. When electrons have same charge, they will repel each other also. They are making bonds with electrons, so these electrons are also having the same charge. So all of them will try to arrange themselves at the farthest possible distance so that they don't face internal repulsion. Okay, so because of this separation, or you can say this repulsion which electrons face within the molecule when it is formed, they form various shapes of the molecules because they are trying to orient themselves at maximum possible distance, and this give rise to various shapes of various molecules. Hence all molecules do not have same type of shape, they have different shapes, and the shapes are, why these shapes are there? Because electrons repel each other, and because of their repulsion they orient themselves at the maximum possible distance. Okay, now when it comes for repulsion, then we have talked about lone pair. If two lone pairs are present on a particular atom, for example, if I talk about oxygen, hydrogen, hydrogen. Oxygen has how many valence electrons? 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. It is oxygen is making bond only with 2 electrons with hydrogen. 1 electron with 1 hydrogen, another electron with another hydrogen. 4 electrons or 2 pairs are left unpaired. So these 2 are lone pairs. So when more than one lone pair is present on any particular atom, then repulsion between lone pair and lone pair is maximum. When it comes to the order of repulsion, then lone pair and lone pair repulsion is the highest. Then a lone pair and a bond pair repulsion is there. Means if a lone pair and bond pair are near to each other, then their repulsion will be little less as compared to lone pair and lone pair. And one bond pair and another bond pair have least repulsion between them. Okay. So the order of repulsion is this: lone pair, lone pair highest, then lone pair, bond pair, and then bond pair, bond pair. But there will be repulsion between all electrons which are present on the central atom, and because of that we get different geometries. Okay. So keeping in view these orders of repulsion, now we have to study about the various molecules of various type, and according to their number of bond pairs, what is their geometry. First we will talk about only those molecules which have only bond pair and no lone pair is left on them for repulsion. Okay. Then later on we will talk about the geometry of those molecules which have bond pair as well as lone pairs present on them. Then how their geometry gets distorted, about this we have to talk. So what is valence shell electron pair repulsion theory? This theory says that the valence shell electrons they are present in pairs. Okay. So the valence shell electron pairs repel each other. Okay, and because of their repulsion they orient themselves in various directions at maximum possible distance in three-dimensional space. This is all about this theory which we are going to study. Now when we talk about different geometry of molecules, if there are only two bonds like H and Cl, this is an example of covalent bond, then this bond either it is made like this, or it is made like this, or it is made like this. It will have only one type of geometry, that is it will be linear only. Okay. But if there is one central atom and two bonds, then there are chances that the geometry can be different. Okay. Like if I make OH, they can be present in a straight line, they can be present bent. Okay, so we have to start discussing about geometries at least when there is one central atom and two side atoms. Then only we can have any possibilities of more than one type of geometry. For two atoms there is no other possibility, so no sense of discussion. So first type of molecules for which we have to discuss geometry is AB2 type. AB2 type of molecule where A represents central atom and B represent side atom. Okay. Now if we talk about this geometry where A is the central atom which does not have any lone pair of electron, if it is bonded to two B atoms, then the maximum possible distance which can be present between them is 180 degree. If a central atom is there and we have to make two bonds at maximum possible distance which is possible for two bonds, then that possible distance is 180 degree only. Okay. So whenever AB2 type of molecule is there and there is no lone pair on the central atom, then this type of geometry which will be present is linear. So all those molecules which have AB2 type of nature, no lone pair on central atom, will always have bond angle 180 degree and nature of geometry is linear. We will write one example of it and see it. For example, BeCl2. Now suppose we have to find out that which type of geometry this molecule is having. Beryllium, atomic number is 3. No, beryllium is 4. Okay. So beryllium is 4. Valence electrons are 2 and 2. Okay. Atomic number is 4, 2 and 2. So valence electrons are only In all these geometries, we have to only talk about valence electrons. Inner shell electrons do not participate in anything. Okay. Now, if beryllium has two valence electrons, they are bonded to chlorine, BeCl2. So chlorine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. In all these geometries which we are discussing, we have not to talk about the electrons of side atom. We always talk about the central atom because this decides the geometry of the molecule. So beryllium 2 and 2 valence electrons. So 2 valence electrons making one bond this, one bond this. Beryllium does not have any lone pair. Lone pair also comes only from valence electrons. Okay. So valence electrons are 2, so there is no lone pair. Don't talk about the inner shell electron pairs as as lone pairs. Okay. So this is the nature of the bond here, 180-degree angle and linear geometry. Okay. So in exam, suppose you are given what will be the geometry of BeCl2 molecule. So the very first thing what you have to do is that beryllium atomic number is 4, valence electrons are 2. 2 valence electrons and 2 bonds. No electron is left to form lone pair. Okay. That means we have to think of the geometries which are without lone pair. So this is A, this is B and this is 2. AB2, and AB2 type of molecules always have linear geometry with bond angle 180-degree. Okay. So this is the first type. After AB2 we will have AB3, AB4, AB5, AB6 and AB7 also is there. Okay. So though one more we can take, AB3. Come on, let's come to the next one more, AB3 type, then we will stop. Second example is a molecule of AB3 type. AB3 type means central atom and bonded to 3 without presence of any lone pair. Okay. So it will be, if you see that if a central atom which has 3 bonds and it wants to orient itself in the space with maximum possible distance, then the maximum possible distance which it can orient is with bond angle 120-degree. Okay, because the total space available is 360-degree in 3 dimension. 360-degree, 3 bonds we have to make. You can see that they can arrange at maximum possible distance of 120-degree, bonds oriented in this manner. When they all are making bond angle of 120-degree, they all are in one plane. Though the space available is 360-degree, but these all 3 bonds are in one plane only. So this geometry is named as trigonal, because 1, 2, 3 bonds, trigonal planar. So we have to remember 2 things. One is the geometry, second is the bond angle. When AB3 type of molecule with no lone pair of electron is present, then bond angle always is 120-degree and the shape or the geometry is trigonal planar. Okay. Now example we can write BF3. BF3 is the example of such. Okay. Let us see how. Boron, atomic number 5, 2, 3. Valence electrons are 3. Boron has 3 valence electrons and 3 bonds. That means no lone pair is left. When no lone pair is left, that means boron has 3 valence electrons bonded to 3 fluorine. So the geometry will be trigonal planar and bond angle will be 120 degree. Okay. So this manner, by looking at the molecule which is given to you to identify the type of geometry, you can easily do it if you remember the valence electrons. If this and this is equal, that means there is no lone pair left. Okay, and geometry will be regular one.